completely different. So I'm going to talk about, quickly and briefly, about how everything I know about business, I learned from the Toxic Avenger. How many people like the movies? Yeah, most people like the movies, think about working in the film industry at some point in their life. And I'm very fortunate, early in my career I had a chance to work in film and television, and I had a chance to make movies, and it was a great experience. I learned a lot of things. It's a lot of hard work. Now, I didn't make movies in Hollywood. I made movies in Tromaville. As you may know, Troma is the world's oldest independent film studio. They're about to celebrate their 40th anniversary. Been around a long time. And Troma is known for making low-budget action horror films, kind of campy, schlocky movies, to be honest. The most famous one is the Toxic Avenger, which is the heartwarming story of Melvin Junko, who falls into a vat of toxic chemicals and turns into a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength. He becomes the Toxic Avenger, better known as Toxie, and the first superhero from New Jersey. So making movies was hard work. We didn't have any money to spend, and you learn a lot about business when you have to get people to do things with no money. So it's, you know, a movie is like a little business. In fact, every film production is like its own little startup. We had very little budgets. We had shoestring budgets to start. As we got more popular, the budgets expanded to Velcro, so it was a little bit better than the shoestrings. But as I was saying, you know, each film is like its own little startup, but it's like a startup on steroids, because an independent film can go from launch to exit in 4 or 9 months. So it's a mouthful of work. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I learned a lot of great lessons making movies, and I want to share, you know, 4 or 5 of them with you here today. The first thing I learned was, when you're making a film, you've got to show up and you've got to be prepared every day. And the thing that I learned early on is there were 3 things that above all else were most important. And if you didn't have those things, you couldn't move forward, right? You had to have a camera, and you had to have film to put in the camera. This was pre-digital. And you had to have actors and actresses to get in front of that camera and perform. If you didn't have that, you couldn't make a movie. It didn't matter how good the script was, it didn't matter about your locations, how talented your crew was. If you didn't have those 3 things, you were flat out of luck, right? So you had to focus on every day making sure that those 3 things were there. And I think that's a great lesson for any business. You know, we get busy with a lot of things, but do we really sit back and think about what are the 2 or 3 things that are essential for us to move forward every day? You know, when you get up in the morning, you should think about what are the 3 things I really need to move my business forward. What's your equivalent of the camera, the film, and the actors and actresses? The other thing I learned is that filmmaking is very collaborative. Teamwork is very important. So Troma was great about instilling a sense of teamwork. Every single movie was called a Troma team release. We were trained, every letter, every fax said, "Greetings from Tromaville." We weren't allowed to use the word "I," it was always we. Everyone got film credits. If you delivered a pizza for lunch, you were in the credits of the film for helping out. I mean, everyone was part of the team. And that's a great lesson too, to really instill this sense of teamwork, no matter what business it is. And it's a great way to get people to do a lot of work for nothing if they feel like they're part of a team. So that was a great lesson. The other thing is you've got to be passionate, you've got to be real, and you've got to believe. You've got to find something to love about what you do. When I started working for Troma, frankly, I was not a fan of their movies. To this day, I'm not that much of a fan of their movies. But I was a fan of making movies. I loved the process. And I also came to know that they had rabid fans for their movies. And I grew an appreciation of the fact that our movies were serving this rabid fan base. So I fell in love with serving those fans. So you got to find, whatever you do, you got to grasp onto something that you can love about it, or you shouldn't do it. The other thing is sinking or swimming. When you're making a movie, every day you're under the gun. There's always deadline. And you just have to move forward. You can't hang around and wait. You have to make decisions and go forward. If something's broken, fix it or work around it. You have to push forward. And you have to push your team forward too. And that kind of sink or swim environment, it's like war, right? You're going to battle. You got to plan your operations, go out, do it, then assess what happened and readjust accordingly. You know, you can't sit around and wait. And I think that's as important today as it's ever been, you know, to keep your business moving forward. Lastly, you have to have a culture and vision and embrace it publicly. Let everyone know. You know, Troma had a lousy reputation for making lousy movies, but we embraced that reputation. We were proud of it. We never tried to be anything other than we were. And people loved that. And in time, it kind of went mainstream. The Toxic Avenger was turned into a Saturday morning cartoon show with comic books and toys and trading cards and video games. There's an off-Broadway show running in New York right now. So, I mean, by embracing that culture, people believed in it and they loved us for it, even though we were promoting crappy films. quite frankly. So I think these are, I could go on and on. I could write a book about this, and I probably will. But these are just 4 or 5 things that I learned from the Toxic Avenger that I wanted to share with you today. Thank you very much.